Hey guys, so for today's video I figured I would just bring you guys into my Bible as I add some notes from church. On midweek we've been going through the book of Psalms, just really short, like really quick overviews, and we've done a few of the Psalms, so I wanted to just add a couple of the notes that I've gotten from my pastor and just add them into my Bible, and I figured I would do that with you guys and just, like I said, bring you guys into my Bible, how I take the notes from our midweek service into my Bible. And yeah, I'm gonna try and do it in a way that I can still add more notes, like build off of them, because I do want to eventually study the Psalms and get really deep into them. So I gotta figure out how I want to add the notes in, so that way I still have room to add notes that I get when I study. So that is the plan for today's video, and yeah, so let's get right into it. We're gonna start in Psalm 1. So I will actually zoom you guys in so you can see a little more, maybe even a little more. Okay, that's as close as we get. Here are my notes for Psalm 1 so far. Like, they're pretty, there's not a bunch, but there's a couple of things that I want to just mark and put down. I do want to mention how in verse 1, walks is talking about the way we live and just how there's this progression of living the wrong way. So I do want to mark that here in verse 1. And that's just mainly verse 1. Walks, stands, sits. And then verse 2, it says, to delight is not merely to comply, but to love. Meditation is an act of thinking on truth. So I do wish I didn't previously highlight these, so that way I could highlight the way I want. But for meditation, I guess we'll just write it somewhere here. And then delight, love. So I think I am gonna figure out how to highlight a little bit. Just circle delight and just highlight what I wrote, just so we know what that's towards. And I'm going to do the same thing with meditate and do it in yellow and then highlight what I wrote. And then for this, I'm pretty sure, is this the brown color I used? It's not the same brown color, but we can just do that. So that's kind of all I have for chapter 1. There's more notes for chapter 2. And I know when I study chapter 1, I am going to want to use this one, is Do Not Be True to Yourself. This is by Kevin DeYoung, and he does a great job at breaking down Psalm 1. And here, this is a really short book. It's 56 pages. I have a review on this. If you want to check that out, I'll leave that link down below. But now for chapter 2, Psalm 2. And let's just zoom back in here again. Here's the majority of Psalm 2. So Psalm 2. So my pastor gave context first, and it was a reminder of how God made David to be king and his lineage, that the kings of David would stay pure and follow God. That was the hope, that was the command. So verses 1 through 3, we just have some notes. I think I'm going to have to actually tape in a piece of paper because these notes are a little bit more involved than I was thinking. Yeah, we're going to add a piece of paper to this. And to do that, I'm going to use the document repair tape and then just a piece of sketching paper. This is like what I like to use. I feel like it's the perfect consistency to add right in on the side and not have to worry about anything. So I'm going to do that, and then we can add more notes. Or should I write my notes first? No, I'm going to put this in first, and then I know where I want my notes to go. So that is what I'm going to do now. So I don't need all of this. I think that works. So I'm just gonna fold this piece of paper and I'll cut it. And I only want it to be for chapter 2, so. And I'm not going to attach it to the edge here. I'm going to attach it a little bit more inside, so that way I have room here to add a whole nother piece of paper, because I know once I go back and study it, I'm going to want a full sheet here. So, and I also like to round the edges just because I like it to match. And I guess I didn't really have to do that since we're not going to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to use my document repair tape. It's pretty big, so I always cut it down the edge, or down the lengthwise. I always cut it lengthwise. And I'm gonna attach it this way first. And like I said, this will still give me room to add a whole nother piece of paper. So let me actually zoom you guys in just a bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. Actually, I should just stick it on this way. And then I'm just gonna figure out exactly where I want it before I press down. Right there's good. Like that. And then I'm gonna add the second piece right on the inside. Sometimes it gets a little wrinkly. That is okay. And here is just where I'm going to write the notes, and then I can also point where I want it. What's nice is I can still have room to stick another piece of paper along the whole edge to go through, and it can go over. I can use this top part for notes for chapter 4 or whatever I want. So that is nice. So now we can take our notes for chapter 2. Let me bring y'all here so you can see what I did. You guys saw me copying my notes in. I literally just took my notes from my book and put them here. So let's chat a little bit about Psalm 2 and what my pastor had to say. So here is just a context overview of what Psalm 2 is about, and it's a reminder of how God made David to be king, and his lineage, how the kings of David's line would they were to stay pure and follow God. That was what they were supposed to do. For the first 3 verses, it's talking about why do the nations rage? The people are in vain. They're plotting in vain. And then it's saying they're all against his anointed. And David was anointed and was set apart by God. And the Messiah would come from David's line, and that there was this rebellion against David, which is ultimately a rebellion against God and his chosen Messiah, which was Jesus. Then as you get into verse 4 and 5, we see that the Lord is a God of justice. And then in verse 6 and 7, we see that God's purpose is redemption through David's line. And then verses 8, it says, ask of me. And here we're just saying that prayer can move with the hand of God. And, we ask that we may receive. And we see that here he says, you shall break them with a rod of iron and shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. This is a prophetic picture of Jesus' rule and reign of the future. And then for the last 3 verses, we're seeing a warning, not just to the kings, but to the people, to not revolt against the Lord, to be wise and to be warned that they are to serve the Lord with fear and reverence of him. Because when you go against God, you are rejecting the Lord. When you start revolting and rebelling, you are rejecting the Lord. So it's just like a warning to David and his lineage to be wise and to be warned that they are to serve with fear and to not reject the Lord. So that is the verse. That is chapter 2. And these are my notes for these 2 chapters. And as we keep going, maybe I'll share with you guys other ones, but I know I really wanted to add these in just to have them done. And then as you can see, that page just closes like that. Let me show you what my Bible is looking like. So when you open Psalms, this is what you will see, and you will have this little flip out with my notes, and it's literally just the notes that I took. I didn't do anything different, just the actual notes, and just wrote them right in. So these were easy, because sometimes I'll have to paraphrase or just shorthand what my pastor has said, but today was easy. We just literally wrote everything because it was broken down by verse, as you can see. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys would like to see more of me just adding notes to my Bible, yeah, and let me know, and I will do this more often, and I will see you guys in my next video.